Welcome Harley Benton fans and pedalboard build aficionados. I'm going to attempt to build a new pedalboard for Studio B. And that pedalboard is no holds barred, one of the best boards on the market, the actual board, and some of the most ridiculous pedals on the market. This is all highly priced stuff that I've reviewed, and that's why I have it. And we're going to see how a budget brand, which is Harley Benton, will fare in that scenario. The Harley Benton PowerPlant ISO 10AC Pro. So the ISO modulars, there's two different ones I've tested and couldn't find a flaw at all. And they're 59 and 69 bucks each, and you can even stick them together. And fans of mine who have bought them have reported back and saying not an issue at all. So those seem to be very good products. This is the bigger version, and we're going to attempt to put it on this board, along with loads of good stuff. And I want to thank Boss for supplying the ES5 switcher, which we'll be using, and also their new very cool MIDI cables, which actually swivel in different directions, as we will see, as well as their really cool solderless pedalboard cables here, patch cables, but solderless, which can also be angled or non-angled. So here's the board, which is a Schmidt array. Don't ask me what the model number is. I will find out, and it's listed somewhere. So what pedals go on there, I don't quite know yet. That's one of the fun parts of building a pedal board, seeing what we can fit on there. I know for Studio B, since I review guitars there, I need a delay and a reverb. I need a fuzz. I need an overdrive, and well, high gain I have amps for, but also like a lead overdrive or a lead pedal, for which we'll probably have the gearbox, but we'll see. I know that the ES5 is buffered, but putting the FLIR buffer on there just has to be done, because how cute is that? That's from Thorpe, the tiniest Thorpe pedal. But before we do that, come on, how cool is that? There's a full unboxing and run through of this pedal board on my channel. So here's the ISO 10AC Pro. Let's get that nice up and close. Come in tight. Because unboxing this stuff, Harley Benton's really upped their game, because this is very Apple-ish. Not quite, you know, but this is cool, because it comes separately in this foam rubber thing. It's rather thin, she said, rather light, and it's a very good power supply, I think, if it's as good as the others. We have 259 volt, 250, 250, 250, 250, no, 4 250s. We have 2 500s, which we will need for the Chase Bliss pedals. We have a 9, 12, and 18 volt switchable, 450 milliamps. So I'll probably keep that all on 9, because all my pedals are 9. When you switch it to 12, of course, it goes down in milliamps, and when you switch it to 18, it's 450 half, so it's 225. But that means we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's probably what the 10 AC means. And then we have 5 volt, 1 amp USB. The only thing that I don't necessarily like about this is that these corners right here, this is rather sharp. Like, don't let your kids play with that. Of course, once it's installed on a board, who gives a crap? But this is not Strymon Zuma level. This is, I mean, it is Harley Benton, and that's why this isn't perfect. But not something to be concerned about, because A, you're not a baby, we hope, and B, once it's installed, nobody cares. And then we have, of course, all this stuff. I don't need the power cable, because the Schmidt array board comes with one. And then we got all the extra little power cables. We don't need the instructions. The box is something you actually might want to keep, because it is nice. Well done, Harley Benton. So here we got our power cables, which should be, well, I would assume at least 10 of them. I don't, am I going to use, well, you know what, for this board build, we're not going to make it super tight with all the nice zip tying and all that stuff, but obviously later I will do that. So where will this go? Look, it stands up. This is so neat. Martin Smith from Croydon, no, Martin Smith from Schmidt-Array builds a good board, and his team, of course. I'll plug this in here. Oh, other way around. Bam. And it'll go right here in the back. Well, this is probably not a good idea. Can you catch this, Leslie? Because I'm actually blocking the ins and outs, which are all internal here. So first step is, where does this go? Will we put it all the way over here? Ooh, that could work. Yeah, maybe all the way up here. That looks like it's as far away out of the picture as I can make it. And that means we're gonna attach it right there with a long strip of Velcro. Oh, Leslie, can you do me a favor and grab the Velcro scissors, which are the blue ones? Film you walking over there and get the Velcro scissors. Now, you guys might ask yourself, why do I have Velcro scissors? Well, if you do this a lot, then you will find out that the Velcro leaves a lot of gluey residue on your scissors, and it literally wrecks the scissors. So you don't want to use, you know, just any scissors. You have a dedicated pair that's wrecked by the Velcro. So we're not going to use these anymore. So it's here. It's stupid. I just cut Velcro and put it on there. Didn't pay attention. Used the wrong side. I would say that happens, but that happens when you're an idiot. So yeah, these scissors are very sticky. Right below, if you have Velcro scissors. There we go. That should be much better, and that should actually hold now. I was like, why is it not sticking? I remember my first pedalboard builds and how crappy they were. Oh, come on. That's tight now. Nice. Good. Good. I almost put that on my eyebrows. Ow, that would have been bad. Ooh. Moving on. So, we put the floor somewhere, and we have to make sure that, let's do this next. We have to see how long the boss cables stick out. Oh, that's a nice weighted cable. Okay. Oh, this is nice. It stays in this package. Where do I put all my trash? And then hopefully, when I open this, they don't fly everywhere. Okay. Comes with a little screwdriver that you can flip around. Flippy around screwdriver. Ah, and these little screws right here that then of course tighten the cable. You don't want to lose those. They have gold tips. And that's where the little screw will go. And you can actually, once the cable is in there, you can have it coming out in the back or angle it. Either or. That's nice. So we're going to see how long the cable will be. Okay, so technically if you look in here, if I angle it up or down or whatever, I can start putting pedals, let's say, right behind this line of Velcro. That's close. Okay. So let's start. Let's start by putting the floor down and building the first cable, which of course can be rather short. And well, actually, that's a buffer that I technically, because my fuzz can work with a buffer, that's the Jackson Audio, I don't need that in a loop. I only have 5 loops. So I want to make sure that I'm conserving them. So the flare will come right behind the input. So what I'll do is black. Black's my input. I can define that any way you want. They have some nice suggestions, but that's what I have. And I literally have an input and an output, nothing else. I could do MIDI, you can do anything you want, but everything will be inside the board and the board will be in front of an amp. We're not using the 4-cable method. So from here, and we're going to cut this once, I assume. Should I read the... Cut it, stick it, screw it, done. So from over here to the floor, done. Now where do I put, oh, so I stick it in there. Where will we put these little screws? Someone that's more organized, like Michiel or Dan Steinhardt, would look at this table and go like, what are you doing? This is all chaos. And you'd be correct. Okay, so I got this tiny little thing, and then there's a, Boss. Seriously, Boss? It's a slitty screw, not a, Technically, that should be a tiny hex, because that would be an awful lot easier than this. Boss, why isn't this hex? Oder Inbus, as they say in German. Of course, I should have a cable tester, which I do have somewhere, and I will test all these cables later, and if need be, reset them. Obviously, at the very end, we want to test if there's any hum, buzz, or whatever, which, given the fact that the smaller power supplies from Harley Benton did really well, there shouldn't be. So I'm not really concerned about the quality of the power supply, otherwise I wouldn't put it on this board, given that I have higher priced brands in the house. But I'll trust the Benton, and hopefully my trust will not be disappointed. So, bam, and you can now angle this very easily by just bending it, which I'll be doing, and it'll go right into the fleur. And, oh, that's the, ooh. They include a USB to micro USB cable. Nicely done, Harley Benton. Wouldn't have thought so, but they do. So now this is long enough, which of course later we will nicely hide. And I want it angled. It's more than enough to have 250 for the fleur. Bam. Well, now this is, flippy flopping around, but we'll get this all nice and tight later. And now I need to go from the fleur into the input, which will be about this long, is more than enough. You cut it, and you play the same game again. 1, 2. So I'll do this one, and then we're gonna put the pedals on the board, and I'll do this all by myself, because Leslie needs to go to work, and you don't want to watch me putting little screws in these cables for hours on end. But I'll definitely show you the MIDI cables from Boss, because one of the problems with MIDI cables is they go up or down, and if they're angled, which is nice, but they're angled the wrong way, then you can't use them. And I checked out the new Boss MIDI cable, and it's way cool because it can be angled any way you want. Any way you want it. That's the way any way you want it. It's a song by a band. So I could literally just have this coming out in the back like this. So I can actually keep it straight right there. And I don't even think I need to like zip tie this or whatever. But I mean, this is like a really short cable. And yeah, there you go. So that's absolutely nice. Could even be a little bit shorter if I cared. So you get how that's done. And well, if they work, I'm pretty impressed by these Boss cables already. Now, Fleur. We will want in loop 1 something overdrivey. Probably loop 2 something fuzzy. Does it have a tuner out? It has a tuner out. So we're doing the tuner out separately. Well, technically, overdrive, fuzz, no. Compressor, 1. The overdrives, fuzz, delay, and reverb. And that makes sense to me. So that means this compressor would be rather here, and that means that will close up nicely and be just and literally, no, it's too high. The Jackson audio is too high. Okay, we'll get this. So the Jackson audio is too high. Technically, if I can, because it's sexy, I would want these two behemoths up here together. So the Jackson audio is loading in the back as well, but that should be enough. Then it's only on one of those lines. So this is technically enough back here. Maybe I have to have the Jackson audio like this. Ooh, okay. Let's see. The tuner needs to be on here, for sure. That could work. It's kind of a waste of space. Let's see if this holds. If it's like this. Which technically means the gearbox could be sitting right in the middle beautifully like this. And then we got the tuner. We got loop 1 is compressor and boost EQ. Loop 2 would be the overdrivey kind of things, which means the gearbox and the preamp, which I would then, of course, pick whichever I want. So I'd have a high gain on the Pinnacle side, a low gain on the Thomann side, and then, of course, a other low gain in fuzz right here. Looper could be cool to have as an option at the very end, but you don't really want the looper underneath because, I'm just realizing, because you can't trigger it. So the looper should also be on top. Yeah, that does work. That does work, space-wise. This has nothing on top except for power. That'll be a tight fit, but I think it's possible. Let's attempt that. Which means my fuzz and my delays, 2 of them, could go underneath. The bloom can't go underneath, I know that, because of the height. Oh, wait. The fuzz is the same height. Ah! So the fuzz, even if I have it back here, in the back, of course the back's higher. So don't have it here, because that doesn't work. Change of plans, people. Bloom, fuzz, beautifully back here. Bloom could even be MIDI controlled if I wanted that. That's important to know, so I can actually trigger all that if I really wanted to. And that means Mako is not necessarily shorter. No, not really. But the gearbox can definitely go here. Let's see. Gearbox fits. However, I would have to be able to switch that somehow. So maybe if I put it right there, I can still go there with my fingers. Not with your feet, but that's doable. But see, it's actually sticking now because it is a little bit low over here. So you definitely need lower pedals, which I don't think I have. So then that needs to go there or on top. Okay, on top, we got the gearbox, we got these two. Can I get the delays down here? This is top loaded, so that's not a problem. So if I put this right here, the Fleur is already hooked up, all top loaded, that's fine. Put this right here. Okay. Oh, that's not top loaded. So that needs to go over here as far as I can, and we're running into problems already. We need to make sure we got all the outputs going on here. I'd like to have angled and angled, which they don't have because that would save me. But let's see. That works. This is going to be a 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be a 10 pedal board. I'll even need to daisy chain because this needs power too. But we can do it. So we're going to have this underneath. This is ridiculous. And then on top, we have the preamp. We'll have the reverb. We'll have the tuner. We'll have the looper. We'll have the gearbox. Well, that's a neat board if I've ever seen one. Again, with this one row, I don't necessarily know how well this will Velcro. I would hate to put Velcro on this bit. I might have to. We'll see. Well, let's do this. This is the plan. I will sit here now, cable this all up, and when Leslie comes back from work, we'll show you the result. How about that? Okay, you don't need to see all of that. Good. See you then.
I'm not made of solid gold, and my shoes, they are worn by the time they are way too old. I've not been touched in many years. Have a lost building up like of trust has kept me here. Lonely days keep me confined, can break the shell I've been denied. But somewhere out there she must hide, the one that I can feel inside. Cheap love, don't wanna pay. I need cheap love. Cupid used to spear, don't wanna shed a tear, but just once too much when you can spend on love. As years went by, the lights went out. Had no guide through the night. I got lost inside an urban crowd. Concrete fields that will not end, and the windows reflect who I know to be my only friend. Lonely days kept me confined, can break the spell I've been denied. But somewhere out there she must hide, the one that I can feel inside. Cheap love, don't wanna pay. I need cheap love. When Cupid used to spear, don't wanna shed a tear, but just once too much when you can spend on love.
So here we are, 2 days later, actually. I didn't have time to finish this video. I finished the board. And this is it, right here. I did run into a problem with the Boss solderless cables. I stuck the cable in, I stuck it in, and I twisted to make sure it's secure. You shouldn't do that. Cut it, stick it in, and then you notice a little bit of a resistance. Push a little bit further, and then you're done. Put the screw in, and then if I did this, all the cables worked. I wish I had a longer of the Boss MIDI cables, because the cable from the Reverb to the ES8, I had to use a different one, as you can see, and it's well, it's kind of under tension, so that's not great. The Boss MIDI cables are absolutely amazing because you can actually say, you know, it goes down, it goes up, or the cable goes out in the back. So this is what the board looks like underneath. We have the ES8. I even programmed it a little bit. We have the Fleur before the board. And let me see. Because of course I want it unbuffered because I have a buffer in front of it. So that's before the board. Then loop number 1 is the comp. Then loop number 2 are the drives, which in this case is the gearbox and the Chase Bliss. Why is it not getting, haha. Chase Bliss should be getting number 3. Okay, so we'll do this. Edit, input buffer, here we go. We want that off. So that's actually per patch. Wow, the Boss MIDI editing is just, the Boss editing on it is just not cool. Patch MIDI 1, and that's channel 1. Why these are there, nobody knows, but I've covered this before. If you hit enter, we want it on 3, that's where I want to be, with all the gain, yes. So it's 4, it's 3, well, you know, MIDI. And then we write, and that's executing. Perfect. So I pick whether I have this or this. The tuner is in the tuner out. This is at the very end behind the output of everything. In 4, I've got, in loop number 4, I've got the delays. Loop number 2 are the drives. Loop number 3 is the fuzz. Loop number 4 are the delays behind each other. And you have to pick which one you want, of course. This is also getting MIDI. And loop number 5 is the reverb. So yeah, if you want an octave fuzz, you know what? You're going to have to lift this up and turn the octave fuzz on. But right now, the ISO 10 AC Pro is powering everything. And I have 11 pedals on here, including the ES5. So how am I doing it? Well, the Strobo Stomp has an input and an output for power. So I'm actually just daisy chaining using the Strobo Stomp to go to the Ditto. Everything else has its own power supply. These two are on 500. Everything else is on who cares. It doesn't need that much. So by the way, look, pedalboard. I have a pedalboard.org mug from my fans from Pedalboard. So you want to know if it's noisy? I will plug in this Friedman, whatever it's called. NoHo 24, which I just got. So that's the comp that's on and the reverb. That's a single coil, so of course, and single coil through a comp, you're gonna have going on. And again, comp, but now I also have the delay on. Let's see. Yeah, the delay is in there too. So with quite a bit of comp, there's no noise, there's nothing. A little bit of buzz, which is literally the guitar. The board doesn't generate anything. Of course, with MIDI, I'll be able to make this a fuzz, low gain, high gain. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this. I can go to fuzz right here. And that's the lead sound. No buzz, no hum, no feeping, loads of dogs running around because Leslie is going to be home at some point very soon and they get excited. So, this is a board that overall costs €5,700. The board alone is $1,169. These two pedals clock in at almost $2,000. This is utterly ridiculous. It's a rather small board, not insane amounts of pedals. But if you add it all up with cables and everything, it is €5,700. Now, how much sense does it make to throw a Harley Benton budget €109 power supply at this board? Well, if it works, it makes all the sense in the world. If the form factor is what works for you, it makes all the sense in the world. If you have a whole bunch of pedals that need a 12 or 18 volt, it makes a whole bunch of sense. It works. There's no compromise. There's no wire, but you have a little bit of hum, and that's why it's $50 cheaper. The Harley Benton performs admirably on this board. Now because I have them, Chuck's DC7s. Would I rather put a DC7 on there? That is a good question. Whoever asked that. Oh wait, I did. I gotta say right now, no. If I didn't have also a Chuck's 4, because the Chuck's will give me 7 outputs. So I will have to daisy chain more than with the Harley Benton power supply. If, however, I use the 4 and daisy chain that to the DC7 and put that somewhere else on the board, then I have 11 outputs and then it makes sense again. Since I have a DC7 and a 4, I might do that. However, that is almost $400 for the power supply alone and will bring this board to $6,000. Of course, if you have $6,000 to spend on a board, you don't care and you probably use something on that level. You're not going to go to Harley Benton. But the point is, you could. The quality of the Harley Benton power supplies is good enough to do this. So on this board, I can actually power everything on it and very demanding pedals with one single power supply, fully isolated, enough milliamps, and if I wanted to, with 12 and 18 on 4 outputs. And it does perform admirably. So it's not gigantic. And once installed, I wish I had angled to angled plugs because I could save a little bit of space here, but that's really neither here nor there. I could just order these if I wanted to. So I'm going to give the Harley Benton something, a ISO 10AC Pro, a full 100% thumbs up. It does the job, no noise, no feeping, no issues whatsoever, and it performs exactly like a higher end power supply would. $409. it will stay on this board. This board will go to Studio B. And I will put links, of course, to everything, the board, the power supply. If I really find the muse to do it, I will put links to the pedals there. And you know what? I'll play a bit more. Oh, animals at the end.